Title: The Tale of Juan Tamad and the Guava Tree. Once upon a time, in a small rural village, there lived a boy named Juan Tamad. He was well known by everyone, not for his strength or wit, but for his extreme laziness. No one in the village had ever seen him work hard for anything. One hot afternoon, after a long nap under the shade of a tree, Juan Tamad wandered through the fields, too lazy even to help his mother with the house chores. As he walked, he spotted a guava tree, its branches heavy with ripe, juicy guavas. The sight made his mouth water. Juan's stomach growled as he stood beneath the tree, eyeing the fruit. The guavas were hanging just out of reach, but instead of climbing the tree or shaking its branches, Juan scratched his head and thought to himself, "Why should I tire myself out? Sooner or later one of these guavas will fall and I'll eat it." So, he sat down under the tree, looking up at the guava with a big smile. "This is perfect," he said. "I'll just wait right here until one of those guavas falls right into my hands." As the afternoon passed, the sun began to set. The birds chirped and flew back to their nests, but the guavas remained firmly attached to the tree. Juan's stomach rumbled louder and louder, but he just lay there, waiting for the guava to fall. Hours passed, and soon it was dark. The stars twinkled above, but still no guava had fallen. Eventually, a neighbor passed by and saw Juan lying under the tree. "Juan, what are you doing here lying on the ground?" asked the neighbor. "Oh, I'm just waiting for the guava to fall so I can eat it," Juan replied with a grin. The neighbor shook his head in disbelief. "Juan, why don't you just climb the tree and pick the guava? You'll starve waiting for it to drop." But Juan Tamad just waved him off. "Nah, that's too much work. I'll wait. Besides, it'll fall sooner or later." The neighbor, realizing there was no use in convincing Juan, sighed and walked away. As night deepened, Juan drifted off to sleep, dreaming of guavas falling into his open hands. The next morning, Juan woke up to the sound of birds chirping. The first rays of the sun peeked through the trees, and Juan stretched, expecting to find a guava next to him. But to his surprise, the guava was still hanging on the tree, just as it had been the day before. His stomach growled fiercely. "What is wrong with these guavas? Why aren't they falling?" Juan muttered, frustrated. At that moment, his mother appeared, carrying a basket of fruits she had collected from the field. "Juan, what are you doing here? You've been gone since yesterday," she scolded him. "Nanay, I'm waiting for the guava to fall. I'm hungry," Juan explained, pointing to the stubborn fruit above. His mother shook her head and sighed. "Juan, waiting won't feed you. You have to work for what you want. If you just sit around waiting for things to come to you, you'll end up with nothing." She reached up, grabbed a nearby stick, and with a quick swipe, knocked the guava off the branch. It fell to the ground with a soft thud. "See, Juan? It's not so hard if you just put in a little effort." Juan picked up the guava and looked at it thoughtfully. "Maybe you're right, Nanay, but then again, that guava did fall on its own. After a little help," he said with a cheeky grin. His mother laughed and handed him another fruit from her basket. "Juan, sometimes life gives you a push, but you've got to be willing to move, too. Now come home and help me with the chores." Juan reluctantly agreed, realizing that while waiting had brought him his guava, it hadn't been enough to fill his stomach, or help anyone else. As they walked home, Juan pondered his mother's words. Maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't hurt to put in a little more effort next time. And so, while Juan Tamad remained lazy in many ways, he learned that a little hard work could go a long way, and that waiting alone wouldn't always give him what he wanted. The end.